We had so much fun last time that we
Yes.
thought we would do it again.
Heck yes.
So it's funny because this is our first episode of the year because I botched 2 episodes.
No.
I did. It was my fault completely, and our editor wasn't angry. He was just sad for me. Like he was just
Oh.
like, it's like a kid that drops their ice cream cone on the ground. I'm like, that's really sad. So just putting our editor on blast for just the sadness he's brought me. So it's fun though that we get to start this year with you. We ended with a girl talk. We get to start with a girl talk. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. I've enjoyed your content quite a bit in regards to just it's like some of the stuff that I had no idea about because I'm not saying that you're that much older than me, but there's enough years between us. Even though Megan looks so young, she is a little bit older, but it's so funny how those years, even if it is smaller, like it can make a difference in regards to like what culture you grow up in. So I thought I think the next video was the one I watched from you. That was so funny. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, I never knew this existed. This is great.
There were so many shows on MTV in that era of the 2000s that were just so cringy. Well, I mean, we've had that, the old school dating show where like they put somebody behind a wall and they have 3 contestants like that. So MTV had Singled Out years ago, which was kind of similar to that, I guess, scenario of a dating show. But then they came out with all these really terrible concepts like Next, and then they had Room Raiders, and then they had Date My Mom.
What?
Yeah.
No.
The guy or girl like went on a date with the mom to get to know the person. It was so cringy. Yeah. You're like, this can't exist. Oh, it did.
But so here would be my comeback to that though. I feel like dating shows haven't gotten less cringy.
Oh, no.
It's just become more acceptable.
Yes. Yes.
Where it's like there's like MILF Mansion, like that's cringe. Like super duper 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 cringy. But at least like in that time, like you knew that was cringy. But now with stuff like that, they're trying to almost normalize it. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean I think the longest running one is probably The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I mean, I can't even I never got into it, to be honest.
Never did.
I think I've watched maybe a handful of seasons and it was just so cringy. Just the concept in general of having a pool of men or women to choose from is just, that's not realistic. It's kind of gross, but it makes for good TV. So
it does. It's because people like the train wreck.
Yes.
That's what they wait for.
They can't look away. They just can't look away.
I know. And with train wrecks, I think even though ratings have gone down for award shows, I still think there's people who watch it just to see what crap is going to happen.
Yes.
And so most of us know at this point that the Golden Globes happened once again. I have to admit, I honestly have never really watched award shows. Like it's never been a thing. Like maybe I'll see clips of it online, but I never thought to myself, I'm going to go and sit down on the couch with popcorn and watch a 3-hour award show.
They used to be very entertaining. Back in like when I was younger, like in the 90s and the 2000s, it was very entertaining. But then again, that was a different time and the movies were still entertaining. Now, I mean, this was one of the points I wrote down. I think the Hollywood Foreign Press has now been acquired by the Dick Clark Productions. So
what does that mean necessarily?
So basically the Hollywood Foreign Press was in charge of production behind any award show for like the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes, the Emmys, things of that nature. So, when they get up there and they thank everybody and the first person they think is the Hollywood Foreign Press.
Yeah.
That's the Hollywood Foreign Press. So Dick Clark Productions has acquired the Hollywood Foreign Press. So they're going to do the production from now on for all of these Golden Globes. And I think it was last year. Yeah, June of last year is when they acquired these. So not only did they acquire the Hollywood Foreign Press, they they did it because of reasons for years of it being criticized for their lack of racial and ethnic diversity. And according, I got all this information to the New York Post. Nominees are now chosen by an international group of racial and ethnically diverse voters. So it's not based off entertainment anymore.
Huh.
And that's why the award shows are not entertaining anymore.
Wait, but this only happened like 2 years ago, right?
Yes, but we could see the shift happening.
Yeah.
We could see it
Yeah.
happening probably for the last 5 years. It's been going this direction.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But here's what I actually thought was interesting, because you say that and so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But what I was thinking too was that I feel like there were less like political moments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I when I saw clips, I saw like more in the media that Reese Witherspoon brought her son, and then someone brought their mom. And
Yeah.
like there was something that almost felt in a weird way. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth and using the word wholesome and Golden Globes together.
Yeah.
But there was a level of like wholesomeness, that moments that came out that were much better
Yeah.
than like in the past, where it's always like some sort of, political speech that they give when they win an award.
Now, I mean, ever since they've been around and televised, there's always, I would say, not 100%, but I'm like 95% sure there's always been a political moment that has occurred.
Mhm.
I think it was Marlon Brando didn't show up to the Oscars when he won like years ago, I think in the 70s. And he had this woman who claimed to have been a Native American accept the award for him. And years later, it came out that she was not a Native
Right.
American.
Right.
So we've had these political moments kind of sprinkled in. They've just tried to normalize it over the last probably 10 to 15 years. And it seems to be when there's a Republican in office is when they think it's okay to just throw in all these jabs, I guess. But you're right. And, I would say early 2000s. Yeah, Reese Witherspoon bringing her son to the Golden Globes or the Oscars. That was cute. Everyone's like, oh, that's so sweet. But now they're like,
Yeah.
we don't want to see that. We want the drama. We want the trademark.
I liked it though. Like that's the thing,
Yeah.
that she brought her son this year. So he's like, I don't know, he's probably like 17, 18 years old. I have
Yeah.
no idea, but he looked about that old to me when I saw him. And most people, I think the reason why they have why maybe it's more political when you have a Republican in office is because they have a punching bag. Like they live off of, let me just put it this way. I feel like when you get a bunch of entitled elite people together, like I think there's a level of bullying that happens.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and not just with politics, like with each
Oh,
other
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because, especially when Trump was in office, I mean, all they did was complain, and they're still complaining to this day. I mean, dear Lord. That's like
Yeah.
everything that they hated about him, they wanted you to know it. And every
All
issue that they wanted you to fix, they had to bring it up. And they're still
yeah.
doing it now. And it's like, can we not just watch something and enjoy the gifts and talents of the individuals who have gotten to this point in their lives and their careers, and just let them be recognized for their talents? Why do we have to continue to like we get the news, we get news over here. Let us get our news here. Like we don't need you to virtue signal in the entertainment sphere. Just be entertainers.
Yeah. And I think from our perspective, like that's very much what we want. I feel like though there is like a Hollywood cult that like if you don't repeat these mantras, if you don't publicly come out and do these things, like they
Yes.
will criticize you for not doing it.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. And so I think that there are these people that very much might not want to be political, but they're getting encouraged to do it and they get praised for doing it by their elite peers, and so they keep doing it, and the ratings keep going down, but they're kind of just caught in the middle between Hollywood cult and then what the viewers want.
Oh yeah. And if anyone says anything different than the opinion that they're being scripted to put out, for instance, Chris Pratt and his MTV, I can't remember what the award was, but it was like one of those recognized accomplishment type awards.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about, his faith, and everyone was like, "You can't do that. You can't do that,"
which is ridiculous. Like, it's really, he didn't even really say anything. If I remember the speech correctly, he didn't really even say anything that was that controversial.
No, he basically just said, "Raise your children, with God, and raise your children with faith, and be there with your children as you raise them, like be present in it." And I'm like, "That there's nothing wrong with that."
Like, isn't that what they're supposed to be? Like, that's a very uplifting message for men, but Hollywood doesn't particularly like men, so that's a little bit problematic.
Cis men.
White cis men. Yes. But I would say, though, the Golden Globes didn't have as many political moments this year, in my opinion. What do you think?
There were only like maybe 2 to 3 that stood out that everyone was posting about.
Okay.
And one was the Simu Liu, and I think her name is Issa Rae from Barbie.
Yes.
And
Can you kind of explain that moment to the audience?
Yes. So they had like a monologue to introduce an award, and they tried to make jokes that just didn't land. They weren't funny, but they were racist jokes about playing white people roles. Multiple jabs about white people playing alcoholics. But could you imagine if it was reversed?
Yeah.
If
right.
one of a white actor got up there and said, "I would love to be cast as in a black person role or an Asian person role." They would be all up in arms for it. But why is it why are stereotypical jokes about white people? Why is that okay?
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle used to make stereotypical black people jokes all the time on the Dave Chappelle show. And it was fine, but it's not fine anymore. It's not okay.
Yeah. Why can't we just, this is the thing. Like, I feel like every ethnicity, every race has like a weird thing. Like, can't we just make fun of that thing? Like, and just be fine with it? Yeah. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you have like one group that tends to do something more, like what's the big deal? It doesn't have to be racist.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. And then the Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, who's been pretty irrelevant for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Everyone said he was saying the quiet part out loud and calling everyone in Hollywood creeps. And this is following the Jeffrey, who documentary, and the release of the names. But do you know who Jeremy from The Quartering is? Do you ever watch him?
No.
He's great. He does videos every single day, and he had a really good take on this, stating that, a lot of people are looking at this like he took notes from Ricky Gervais when he was taking jabs at the Hollywood elites in the room that he was in, standing in and hosting. But Jeremy's thought was it's more of a dig at conservatives and conspiracy theorists, considering Jim Gaffigan's past of hating conservatives. Like he's poking fun at everybody, pointing it out that Hollywood is full of creeps versus there are creeps in Hollywood. It's full of creeps.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting take.
That is an interesting take. I think, I don't know. I haven't formed a full opinion, but right off the bat, I mean, I would say, I think there is sometimes room to make fun of both parties, perhaps, because I can't imagine, like, being Jim Gaffigan, like, you got to know that some of these people are kind of phonies. Like, you got to know that. So, like, I think it was a safe way to jab at his audience while also taking a jab at the other side too. I I think that's very possible. I even think, and it kind of goes into Madison Cawthorn. He made his way back into the news once again. And he had made some claims about things that Republicans were doing as well. And so there's a lot of room for corruption and nasty behavior from both sides.
Absolutely.
But I feel like Democrats are a little bit more, I don't know, I feel like they make the news more for it. Like they're just not subtle, which I guess is good, but it's also bad because the media doesn't seem to care. So it's just this weird feeling that I have.
No, I mean, you're spot on. They don't care. And when things come out, it's like, oh, yeah, that happened, but we're not going to talk about it because that's not part of our agenda. That's not part of our talking points. But oh, look over here. Look at what this Republican did. Oh my goodness. And it's like
Right.
the exact same thing that the other person did.
Right. Like you just have, both the parties kind of, pointing their fingers at each other. Again, I'm of the opinion that I see Democrats doing this a bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily excuses Republicans. Like it's
No.
It's not Democrats aren't the evil ones and then Republicans are the good guys. Like there's enough evil to go around in the world, but overall I think Republicans are closer to my beliefs than
I agree. There's going to be, I think we said this on the last one. There's bad people everywhere.
Exactly.
And there's people that do bad things every day, all the time, everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. So moving on a little bit from the political part of the Golden Globes, there was one thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
Especially, I'm not going to say your age, but I think that you might have a take on this a little bit more than me.
Okay.
So a couple of the key players at the Golden Globes was Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez. I can feel the eye roll, but hang with me because I do want to see if I can make like a morally significant point with them. So, Taylor Swift is there. Honestly, I think she looked really lovely. I think she looked good. And Selena Gomez, I'm not sure what she was wearing. I don't understand it, but they're both in their early 30s. I think Taylor Swift is getting close to her mid 30s at this point. I think she's 34.
Same age.
Wow. Yeah. See, Meghan looks fantastic. If you're not watching this on YouTube, go see. You'll see what. But anywho, there was all of this drama around them. Selena Gomez has started dating a music producer named Benny Blanco, and has been sharing a lot of snaps on Instagram. And I think the latest one that she had was, her and Benny Blanco kissing, saying that I won. And then you had Taylor Swift getting mad at a joke about her in the NFL.
Yes, I know the joke you're talking about.
He made a joke about the NFL panning over to her a lot, and she just looked super, super angry about it, and her lips were all tight, and just like,
Well, I mean, that's just her. That's how she's been this entire time. It's nothing new. I mean, it was funny to see it happen like in real time.
Yeah, it was
her like non-reaction of being like, "That's your joke," like that's funny. But that's just how she's been her whole career as she's gotten older, because she's learned to accept that she's been in several relationships throughout her career. They've been very public, and people are going to have their opinions about it. Now, whether she likes those opinions or not, she's just had to deal with that. And sometimes she shows a little sass when people give their opinion about it. All right. But I mean, I will give her credit. Like, that was funny when she was like, "That's your joke."
Yeah, I honestly feel like, in my head at least, if you've truly accepted like where you are, like there's a point where you can't take yourself too seriously, where you're like, all right. But it would have been different if there was like a level of like politeness that she had towards the joke, but she chose to be visibly upset about it.
Yeah.
But again, there's a little bit of interpretation there, and I guess not right or wrong, but all of that to say, And then there was, news of them gossiping and, Timothy Chalamet, Kylie Jenner. Here's the point that I've tried to make. What really got to me is I feel like this is something that I would hear about high schoolers,
Oh, yes.
right? Of like these people are in their 30s, Megan, their 30s. Like, I need your opinion on this as a woman that is in her 30s. Like, is this normal behavior from 30-year-old women? Like give me some perspective here.
Well, again, it comes back to the unfortunate power of social media and having to have a presence in some capacity. And I think what they're trying to do is just to stay relevant. And it doesn't matter what the topic is around the relevancy, as long as they are being talked about, that's all they want.
Mm.
So, for instance, NFL fans right now despise Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And they're blaming her for, the Chiefs losing. I think they've now changed the name to the Kansas City Swifts. That's what they're nicknaming them.
That's funny though. I don't know. That's funny. I enjoy that, but okay.
But I also think, I mean, you're 100% spot on. Like, people as you get older, after you have graduated high school, like, there is a point in time where you just have to let the gossip go and, like, just stop bickering at each other, and we move on. We don't care. But I mean, think of things like TMZ. That's still around. People love celebrity gossip. Do you remember Perez Hilton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when he first got started, his entire blog was mean. It was very, very mean towards celebrities, and people loved it. And then it got to the point where everyone's like, "Stop bullying, online bullying, and blah, blah, blah." And he was like, "Okay, I'll stop." And he kind of shifted. But I think now he's shifted back to being mean. But it's because people want to live vicariously through these people. And so
Yeah.
someone like Perez is like, "Well, he said it. I didn't say it. I'm just laughing at it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of agreeing in the background. I didn't write that." But they love it. They eat it up. Like we said earlier, it's a train wreck that you can't look away from. It's just like, what's going to happen next? Even though I don't care. Even though they should probably just stop gossiping about each other and just move on with their lives. But as long as they're in the media being talked about, that's all they love.
Yeah. Well, they have to stay relevant, and they have to hold on to their audience, which I
Yeah.
think their audience is a lot younger than
Yes.
they are.
Yeah.
So like, even though Selena Gomez was definitely around in my time, and I imagine in yours too, but
Mhm.
she has stayed with multiple generations of people. Like, even I feel like even teenagers, they know who Selena Gomez is,
Yeah.
and they're into Selena Gomez. And Taylor Swift, I mean, she's gonna be 35.
That's an excellent point, though. They're both multi-generational. And that could
Mhm.
be a huge contributor as to why they act the way that they act.
I think so. But I also think on a personal level, like, they haven't had a chance to actually grow up.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Like, when you start off that young, like, even Taylor Swift, she probably started off in her teen years, and she hasn't changed from being a teenager. Like, she doesn't act like a classy woman would act, like, there's just none of that. For Selena Gomez, to post a picture saying I won, that's something that like a 14-year-old would do if you give them like unfettered access
And honestly,
to
it's like,
vote.
but why does it matter if you won? Like, sure, if that's how you feel in your heart, like, yeah, I won. Like, cool, yay, I won for me. But we know that that's a jab at Justin Bieber. Like, we know that.
Yeah,
It's
it's very
obvious. It's
it's
so
very
obvious.
petty.
Yeah, it's so petty, and it's like, if you're gonna go there much later in your relationship, because how long has Justin and Haley been married now? They've been married
Just like
for
5
quite some
years. They've been
time,
together for a long time, yeah.
and they're still going strong. It's like, okay, well, their relationship is pretty solid from what we can tell. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, he's
And
moved
that's
on.
right. And, my goal wasn't necessarily to get into celebrity gossip, but to actually make a point about these people and how it applies to us, where whether we like it or not, I think they are part of the people that set an example for people their own age for how they behave,
Yes.
where I think that behavior is spiraling into our society, where you run into 30-year-olds that haven't grown up, or you have people in their 50s, looking at Madonna or someone like that trying to stay young, and even being young in their maturity as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that's deeply concerning to me.
Yeah, I don't know if you might be too young to know this, but there was this, I think there's a documentary on it somewhere, but they used to call it the Disney epidemic or something.
Mm,
The child star epidemic. And most of it was Disney. I think they called them like the Mickey Mouse Club degenerates or
yeah,
something like
like
that.
Justin, like Timberlake, right? Like Britney Spears.
And Ryan Gosling was on the Mickey Mouse Club too. Um,
He turned out great
and Christina
though.
Aguilera. And but you think of a child star like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, right.
She did not get a chance to grow up at
Mhm.
all. Same with Britney Spears, and she is probably the perfect example of what that can do to somebody. I
Yeah,
mean, look at her. It's so
yeah.
sad. It is
Mhm.
so sad to watch someone that I adored as a little girl. I wanted to
Mhm.
be Britney Spears. All there were millions of little girls wanted to be Britney Spears in the 90s.
Mhm.
And then to see that go from, 1996 Baby One More Time Britney to what it is now, it's heartbreaking to see it
Yeah.
and to watch it happen, and, like, all we can do is just sit back and watch. Just what
Yeah.
are we gonna do? We can't do anything about it.
No. No, you can't. Um, but in regards to the Disney epidemic, while I haven't seen the documentary, I feel like that has definitely been something that the effects of that have lived on, where Disney stars have come out to talk about, how they haven't really had a chance to grow up,
Mm,
and they might never really grow up. They understand that they haven't, but I don't know if they know how to get out.
it's a big machine.
It is.
A big machine
It
of
is.
manufactured manufactured stars. I mean,
Yeah.
Ariana Grande is a good example too.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch. I think it's tough for me to see that these are the people that, you know, we look up to, I suppose.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
any other thoughts on the Golden Globes before we just move on to our next portion?
Um, the only thing I had written down was the host. He was kind of a nobody.
Yeah, I had never heard of
I
him.
never heard of him.
I don't really have any like comments on it other than it was bad.
It was bad, and then he, like, took out, he's fangirling over Robert De Niro, and then he blamed the writers for his jokes that went bad, that didn't land, that tanked. And then, like, doing it live in the room, he's like, "Y'all are laughing at the ones that I wrote. The ones that you're not laughing at are the ones that the writers wrote." I'm like, "You don't do
Ugh.
that. Come on, man. Come on, man."
It's just such bad
Yeah,
taste. Just,
yeah.
yeah, agreed. Yep, he was bad.
It was bad.
That's our commentary. It was really
It
bad.
was bad.
I honestly thought his Taylor Swift joke was actually fairly funny. I think that was
Yeah.
probably the funniest thing I heard.
Oh, I did
And it
have
wasn't overly mean either, but
No, it
I don't know.
wasn't. I did have one thing that I did read, and I thought was great, and then we can move on, but they apparently added 2 new categories.
Oh.
Best stand-up comedian on television, which I can't
Ooh.
believe that they haven't had that category before,
Yeah, I like
and,
that.
cinematic and box office achievement.
Mm,
And I'm like,
I
"Where
like
was
that.
this when Endgame came out?" Because
Yeah.
Endgame got snubbed at these awards. Holy
Yeah.
mess. I actually
Yeah.
have on my shelf back there. I don't this right here that my finger's on. So
Yes.
that is a for your consideration DVD of Endgame.
Oh.
Don't ask me how I have it.
Wow.
But
Look at you.
that's basically what they send to the academies when
Oh.
they're narrowing down nominations. And they sent in
Oh.
a whole lot of nominations. I mean, you get Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Visual Effects. I mean, almost
Yeah.
everything, and they got so snubbed.
That's
I
sad.
know, but I'm
I
like,
thought, like, the effects were great.
I
Acting was
know.
really good.
But now I'm like, I love that they added this category because, superhero movies get a bad rap. Well, now we know the ones that have come out recently. We know
Yeah.
why. But superhero movies get a bad rap in the awards, you know, at the award shows and nominations. So I'm glad that they added that so they can be recognized because they do crush it at the box office for the most part, not the Marvels.
Yeah, yeah, and the past Endgame stuff, was really
Yeah.
good. Excuse me, past Marvel stuff was really good,
Yes.
and then it's all gone to crap. There is one thing I did wanna mention about the Golden Globes that I thought was funny. Um, Even though Jennifer Lawrence is definitely a lib, I actually think she's pretty funny.
She has moments, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely does, and I think when the camera panned to her, she's like, "If my movie doesn't win, I'm gonna leave."
Yeah.
Like, I actually thought that was well-timed, really funny,
Yeah.
which is sad that, like, that's, like, the funniest moment is just Jennifer Lawrence doing
Yeah,
that,
I agree.
um, but I thought that was actually funny. I think Jennifer Lawrence is actually pretty funny. I've seen other clips of her. I think she's very charming. Besides her liberal
Yeah.
weirdness, if she's just making a funny joke, then
Yeah,
she's really funny.
I agree.
Uh, so okay, we're gonna move on to another pet peeve of mine, and I think I like I like doing this with you, Megan, because sometimes I need a girl. I need a girl to like who knows what I'm talking about.
'Kay.
Well, hopefully you do. So I've had this thing
'Kay.
with Christian influencers. Like something's really bothered me. All right. So I'm Christian myself. I am evangelical, conservative. I'm all those things. And I have an issue with Christian influencers. And here's one of the biggest issues that I've had. And this actually extends into just any other influencer,
Mhm.
but I think it bothers me more that they're Christian and I can kind of explain why.
Yeah.
There is this odd thing that happens with these Christian influencers where they think this is a natural thing for me to do. I'm going to take my phone camera. Let's pretend I've had a traumatic event happen in my life. All right. Let's just go there. A miscarriage.
Yes.
Okay.
'Kay.
Separation, from your husband or a breakup.
Right.
I'm going to take my phone. I'm going to put it out and then I'm going to pose myself.
Mhm.
I'm going to start crying.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then with like we have soft instrumental music, maybe it's what's the song? Oceans by Hillsong. We have that in the background.
Yes.
We've got like just go to this world with me, Megan, where
Mhm.
we have that music in the background and there's captions with Bible verses, Jeremiah 29:11, and it it really bugs me to see
Mhm.
because it feels so fake. Where
Because it
Christianity
is.
I know it is, but here's what gets so tricky about it.
Yeah.
Here's what gets tricky about trying to criticize it.
Yeah.
Because if you criticize it, it's like, oh, you don't care. You don't think miscarriages are serious.
Mhm.
How dare you? Like they
Right.
take the most intimate things, put it online, and then if you criticize it, it's like you're the problem.
Yeah.
You're the reason. Um, and so I wanted to talk to you about it not just because it bugs me, but I also want to get your genuine thoughts. Like, if you disagree with me on this, like, have you noticed this happening in Christian influencer culture?
Yes. I have noticed it, and
Okay.
it's
Because I sent you some reels to show you examples of
what
what I was talking about.
what was my response? I can't even remember, but it was
You're like,
so
these
funny.
are so
I'm
cringy.
like, why is it so cringy?"
Yeah. Well, because there was one too where it's like a Christian couple influencer. And so, like,
Oh, and they were
it's a
cuddling.
video. Yeah, it's a video of he's in bed and she comes to cuddle next to him and they're both in bed together.
Mhm.
They had to set up the camera to do that.
It's just inauthentic and, like,
Yes.
to me, as a Christian, but also if someone wants to set an example as a Christian on the internet, I don't think, um, faking certain, traumatic events or faking, you going to snuggle your husband is leading by the example because we know. And you're right, it's a tricky situation. It's like a tricky thing, like, you kinda have to straddle the line here. It's like you understand the point that they're trying to make, but as humans, we all have some selfishness in us and a little bit
Mhm.
of narcissism in us.
Mhm.
And there is a piece of this, they want the views, they want the
Yeah.
likes, they want the comments, they want to grow their profile, they want to grow their platform, and the way to do that is to set up the camera and go snuggle your husband in bed, even though you're like, "Hey, Tommy, come get in the bed. I'm gonna do this video, and it's gonna be really cute, and I think it's gonna get a lot of views on Instagram." Like,
It's weird because like, that becomes a portion of your marriage. Like, a
yes,
portion of your marriage, like, is filming yourself
yes. There
all the time.
there's a couple, it's not a Christian couple, but they're comedians, and they both have their own Instagrams, and they'll just share the same content, but it's
Mhm.
it's obvious that they've written a skit and they filmed it.
Right.
Like, it's obvious
Right.
versus, like, "I'm gonna try my best to make this look like it happened for real." It's like, "You know
Yes.
that that didn't happen for real, like, you set that up."
Right, yes. See, that's what I mean, though, like, if you know that it's scripted, like, if I purposely put something out where I'm taking a jab at couples or we're taking a jab at ourselves, that's fine. Like,
Yes.
that's fine. I totally cool. Um, but it's what bugs me is the hypocrisy of your platform is about being authentic, and yet you're staging all of these
Yes.
very unauthentic moments.
Yes.
Um, let me give you an example. There is a fitness no, she was a fitness influencer. Now she turned fitness influencer to Christian influencer,
Mhm.
named Brittany Dawn,
Okay.
uh, where she had a miscarriage. Very sad stuff, very serious stuff. Um, and there's this reel of her sitting in her child's nursery. She had to prop the camera up for this video, sitting out the window, like sitting with a baby toy with music about, her child like calling her name, and like she's getting close to crying and she's sad, and I'm trying to remember the caption for it. I'm actually going to see if I can read it out
I
here.
have our
Yeah, I have it here too. So it says, point of view, your baby would be 7 months old on Christmas, but miscarriage took her, and every day feels like a fight to remember God isn't done with your TTC story. So again, she's sitting in what would have been her child's nursery
Mm.
with a little baby elephant looking out the window, crying, all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, and I brought this to Isaiah and Steven, in the episode that I botched. And it's sad. It's very sad. This is why I'm not an audio person. But anyway, I showed this to them and they were like, Jordan, like, we can tell that she's acting. Like, we can very clearly tell. And they kind of said something similar about, just wanting to go for the views. But here's something that's very interesting about this person, right? So, under this reel, there's lots of comments about prayer and like being, oh, we're so sorry. I've gone through miscarriage too. So you're playing off of people's emotions who have also gone through miscarriages.
Mhm.
What you don't know is that from this miscarriage, she opened an online boutique named Hazel and Lane, named after her miscarried child. If it would have been a girl, it would have been Hazel. And if it would have been a boy, it would have been Lane. So she's selling merchandise based off named after her miscarried child.
Okay, that's disgusting.
There's something very wrong.
That's disgusting.
And here's why I'm really singling out Christian influencers, because they make Christians look stupid. Like, it's very easy to pick on them. Like, I've seen plenty of channels picking on Christian influencers, and these people, one, they don't like Christians very much, so
Right.
they're going to want to pick on them.
Right.
But two, it's easy for them to do because these people, these Christian influencers they might be Christians, and I'm not going to ever take away from their
faith. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I will say is I would suggest that their faith isn't very strong. Yes. Like, I feel like there's something that's missing in there where they're on milk. They're not very meaty. Does that make sense?
Yes. There's no substance to what they think is providing substance, when the substance should be, Christ. He's the essential source. So
right.
Their source is social media, unfortunately. Yeah. And again, like you said, it would never question anyone's Christianity or question anyone's faith. I mean, like, obviously, if she believes, if she's a believer, she's a believer. But it's just the actions that kind of illustrate a different picture of what she's trying to do. The whole opening a boutique, was it because of this post?
So I think that this post was made after her boutique was created, but and again, I brought this same clip to Isaiah and Steven, and the thing that made it feel very inauthentic for them is that they knew that she was using that post of her crying. That's going to be like, oh, I relate to her. I'm going to click on her profile. I'm going to find Hazel and Lane, and then I'm going to buy off. So excuse me, there is a money incentive.
Exactly. And that's what I don't like. And that was the outcome of all of this that she wanted. Now, whenever people post something or they go to create something, and you know this as a content creator, it's like you always have an outcome. What is the goal? What is the intended goal of this when you post this? And that's what all content creators should ask themselves is, okay, I'm going to make this, but what is my intended goal for this? And as conservatives, especially Christians on the internet, like, that should always be the question before you even start creating it. Like, you get an idea, you start creating it, and then you're like, okay, what is my intended goal at the end of this? What outcome do I want from this? Is it to reach mothers that have experienced this in a positive way? Or is it to boost my profile and drive traffic to my online boutique?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure she wanted to bring awareness to miscarriages, and that's fine. But to me, it's not believable when you have set up a camera, you're all done up, your hair's done, your makeup's done, like, you look flawless, and then you're going to sit in a chair and, I don't want to say conjure up tears, because I'm sure, like, even just the thought of it probably makes her very upset. But as a viewer on the outside, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just fake.
I agree.
It's inauthentic. And I hate that it's getting attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to bring attention to it as a Christian conservative myself, not as, like, atheists that hate Christians. Like, this is me basically trying to say miscarriage is a big deal and it should be talked about.
Absolutely.
But this is not the way to do it, because now what she's done is she's created a fakeness around miscarriage that feels like you're using your miscarriage for a cash grab.
Yes.
And that to me isn't taking, that's not taking miscarriage seriously. Because I've known friends that have miscarriages, and the way that they bring awareness to it, some of them do make a post, but you can tell it's sincerity. There's no cash grab attached to it. They just want people to know about it. I've also had friends be open and honest about their miscarriages with me by having an in-person conversation.
Mhm.
Shocking, you can do that. And having those conversations are so great. And so it boils my blood to see somebody taking advantage of people's emotions, because a lot of women do have miscarriages. And I hate to sound so crude about this, but this influencer is almost very smart.
Yeah.
She's very smart because that's a big audience that you can grab, the infertility audience. And I think it's a little calculated. I think it's kind of gross at the same time.
Yeah. I was literally gonna say gross, and you said it for me. No,
Yeah.
I mean, you could turn around and be like, well, people could make like a music video out of this and use an actress doing the same thing. Well, we know that that was scripted. Like, we know
Exactly.
they hired an actress to come in there and act the part and display things that will draw out emotions from people as they view it. This is
Right.
different. She's acting as if this happened in real life. This would be
Yeah.
like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever experienced anything super traumatic in your life. Like, I lost my brother 14 years ago, and this would be like every anniversary. If I wanted to, I could just set up a camera and huddle in a ball and just
Hmm.
be like, "Oh my god, I miss my brother so much," and just me crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I miss my brother? Absolutely. Miss him every
Yeah.
day. But the
Hmm.
the thing, I think the last thing I did was post a picture of his grave when I went to visit him last time. Wasn't me. Wasn't me sitting at the grave. I didn't put my camera up and, you know,
Yeah.
film myself crying at my brother's gravestone.
Hmm.
You see where I'm going with that?
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah. There's a respect that you almost have to have for yourself
Yes.
in those times
And
of
the
grieving.
audience that you said that you're taking advantage of their emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fine. I think there's a lot of discernment that has to go into posting. And when there is, I think you pointed this out, where people, when we were talking about Republicans and Democrats, how evil people exist. Evil exists in any party,
Yeah.
anywhere.
Mhm.
It exists even with Christians too. Like when there's money involved,
Yeah.
that is a big motivator to even exploit yourself.
Yeah.
And also too, even if there's not a money motivation, there's almost a, how do I put this, a pity motivation that can exist of like, you want people's attention, you want them to feel sorry for you.
That's the
uh,
outcome.
right.
Yeah.
And you have to be, when it comes to grief and it comes to difficult situations, as much as I think creating online communities can be really helpful, they do not replace the human interaction that you need to deal with it.
Yes.
And if Brittany Dawn was my friend, like my true friend,
Mhm.
best friend, and she was posting these videos constantly, I would probably sit down, have a conversation, be like, "Hey, are you handling this okay? Like, are you
Mhm.
grieving okay? Like, do you need to? I don't know if this is a healthy outlet for
No,
you,
it's a distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I want to say one last thing here, and then I'll let you finish this off so we can get to our final topic. Um, but I had a situation. This was when we had the Nashville shooting,
Mhm.
where we had those kids died, teachers died, and I made a post, and I said, I know the left and right wants to make this political, but I was like, maybe if you can just hold off posting something for a couple days to let the community grieve, I think that's a really smart idea.
Yeah.
And this was partly as someone, I've been in a school shooting before. Um,
God.
Gratefully, I was in an adjacent building, but I remember like coming home from it. So it came from a personal place of personal experience, but also I think it was a good suggestion. I was like, maybe you ought to wait a couple days. And this lovely woman, and she was very, very kind, very cordial. She was like, well, maybe Jordan, maybe like social media is how they grieve. And I said to her, and I was very kind, but I said, I would suggest that that is an unhealthy way to grieve.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
and so you can use social media to raise some awareness, but if you're using it to grieve and let out all your emotions, I think that that is a bad spot.
Yeah. I agree. That's a great way to put it. I think it's an unhealthy way to grieve. And
Yeah.
Megyn Kelly actually made the same point after the Nashville shooting, was just like, "Can we just have a moment? Can we
Yeah.
just take a moment?" before everyone
Mhm.
starts jumping to, you know, their gun rights activists and then the anti-guns, like, can we just have a moment, just one
Exactly.
moment where we just sit in silence for a day? Just
Yeah.
give it to these families to just shut up for just a second. Let
Yeah.
it breathe.
I wish yeah, I just wish even the left and right had shut up for just
I
like,
know.
there's a decorum that we've lost as a like, no matter because I was having moms, I had moms on the left and the right. They're just worried about their babies and they're worried about their children. I'm like, let them have that worry without being political about it for half a second. Because
Yes.
we all want the same thing for our children. So let's just mourn together
Yes.
and then we can talk about some solutions in a week or so.
Yes. Mm,
I don't know.
I agree.
That's just me. But let's move on to this last topic. I love talking with you. I feel like I could do it
I
for a
know.
long time, but we want to keep this. We want to keep this as concise and under an hour as much as we
Yes.
can. So you have something that you brought to me today before we started that I thought would be fitting for what we are talking about today. So
Yeah.
Megan, take me away here
Okay.
on a journey.
So I got on Twitter this morning and I see this picture of this actress that's from the show The Boys, which is on Amazon. Her name is Erin Moriarty. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I don't know.
Yeah, Moriarty, kind of like what's does Moriarty, Professor Moriarty in Sherlock? You know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I
Okay.
saw Moriarty, I was like, oh, yeah. Let me
Interesting.
see here. Let me look at Aaron Moriarty here. Okay, keep going.
So I've seen the first 2 or 3 seasons of The Boys and like she's so cute. She's adorable. She's a little too skinny, which, neither here or there.
Hmm.
Um, but her face just looks very youthful and young and just cute. She's just cute,
Yeah,
but also
I'm
very
looking at it now.
pretty. Very pretty. And so this morning I get on Twitter and I see a picture of her, and then on the left, and then to the right is also a picture of her, but she looks completely different. And the caption, the tweet says, "Women need to stop plastic surgery until we figure out what's wrong. Why would you ruin your face like this? This is Erin Moriarty from The Boys. She was already very pretty." To which
Uh
I,
huh.
I agree with that last statement. She was already very pretty.
Yeah.
So in this picture, it's like a before and after.
Hmm.
It
I'm just
looks
trying to
like
see it.
she's just redone into her entire face.
Yeah.
Um, Now men, and I would say probably most average people who have no, not necessarily experience, but education because they're just not interested in it, in plastic surgery and cosmetics, the cosmetic like med spa arena. They just don't
Yeah.
understand, and their ignorance kind of shows. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not saying by any means does what she look like right now look any better than what she did before. She she did not need to do what she did. Period.
No.
She
Hmm.
had a nose job. That's the only plastic surgery she's had.
That's what she's. That's what she's saying.
That is factual. That's the only plastic surgery under the knife procedure that I can see from this picture.
So, so that's not including like Botox or fillers or
No.
anything like
So, and that's where I say like ignorance kind of comes into the to this topic. Toxins or injectables, as people like to say, are not plastic surgery because they are
that. Mm,
temporary. Plastic surgery is not temporary. That is an alteration of your body, your face, like that's it. Now, injectables can be alterations of your face. However, they're temporary. Botox fades,
mhm.
toxins fade, fillers also fade. They dissolve. Now her face was very
Mhm.
youthful. Like if you look at her cheeks in that before picture, like they're still like
Yeah.
bouncy. She didn't need it. So what she did, is she's got cheek filler all in her cheeks. That's making them look so pronounced and making her cheeks look swollen on the inside right here or sunken
Mhm.
in. And then she did Botox behind her jawline, which is pulling it back and making her
Mm,
face look very skeletal.
yeah.
So
And all of this, of course, is alleged, right? Like, we don't know for certain, but that's your opinion on the matter?
that is my opinion, and that is also my friend, one of my very good friends who is an injector and works
Oh,
at a plastic surgery office. I sent her these pictures
gotcha.
this morning, and that's exactly what she said. She goes, "The nose for sure, cheeks and jawline are filler and Botox."
Interesting. I don't doubt your analysis just for legal reasons. I was like, well, we'll say that this is
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
an alleged opinion about her
Alleged
face.
opinion.
Yes, alleged opinion. If that's the right legal language. But yeah, this is not, but this is the thing. This is not something that's uncommon though. I feel like this is happening with so many like young women. Cause I was looking up Erin's age. She's 29 years old.
Okay, that picture
You didn't know?
that just surfaced makes her look like 38, 39 to 40.
Yeah.
Makes her
She
look 10
looks
years older.
she looks horrible because like when old women, this sounds, I'm sorry, older ladies, when older women like get Botox and all the fillers in their face, they just look, they have like that look about them. I don't know how to say it, but they have like that
Artificial.
lady yes,
Yeah,
like you just know they've had something done. And
yeah.
then it's like all these 20-year-olds want to just join the ship with them, be like, yeah, we can all look like we're in our 40s even though we're 25, you know.
I think that
So
there are
weird.
there are definitely ways to do it where it looks natural. Now, the way she did it, no, that is not natural. And you know why? Because she's 29.
Yeah.
Her face is still youthful, still bouncy, still has elasticity, still has collagen in her cheeks. The reason why older women, as you age, you start to lose collagen, fat, and bone density in your just all over, but specifically in your face. So as
Mhm.
those things start to go away, these women want to replace it. And there are ways to do it to make it look natural. But women that have a lot
Yes.
of money, they don't want it, they want people to know that they have money and they have enough money to go get these things done.
Oh. It's
That's
like
there's
vanity
the balance there.
going against each other.
There's like,
Oh.
I have
Oh,
enough money to go do this because I just want to feel good about myself. And then there's women that I have all the money and I want you to know that I have all the money and I want it to be obvious on my
but you can do
face.
that with a Chanel bag. You can do
Yeah,
that with a Chanel bag.
I know.
Why do you need to make your face look like you're like, you know, half human, half alien? Like, I don't understand. It's so weird.
No, I have
But
seen this surgery where they're getting this I think it's called buccal fat pad
buccal fat
removed,
removal.
buccal fat removal from their cheeks. And that's what gives them that like sunken in anorexic
Yes.
look.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I feel like Bella Hadid really put that into the forefront of the
Yeah.
media. It's made it more of a talking point. But that's
Mhm.
what I want to go back to something you said about Erin about how her face looks bouncy. You know, it looks,
Mhm.
you know, really lovely. And there is a trend. Again, this is why you don't try permanent trends with your face. Like
Yeah.
just don't do that. It's a tip for any young person out there. But the trend is to look, you know, really like chiseled.
Yeah.
And so you have these 20-year-olds that want that more sunken in look that happens naturally as you age.
Yes.
You lose a lot of that, like you already said, you lose a lot of that fat. So it'll start to kind of sink in naturally. So they're only thinking about the short term. And like what happens, and this is part I don't know yet because we have so many young people getting plastic surgery, but what happens when you remove that fat? So you're 20, 22 years old, you remove that fat, and what happens when you're like 30?
It
Like,
doesn't
what
come
are you gonna
back.
look like?
It
No.
Yeah, it doesn't come back. You're right. It's like, what's the aftermath? What it's gonna look even more put in. So here's my prediction.
Okay.
They're gonna create some sort of implant.
They have to.
They're gonna
They
have
have to.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're gonna create
because
some sort of
you've got
implant
rid
to
of it.
replace that because filler's not gonna fill that. You removed a fat pad from your face. That
I
you
heard
can't
it's
get
also a
that
little bit
back.
dangerous to do it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't.
Uh, I don't understand, and you made a very good point. It's like these young girls want to look so chiseled, so they're gonna make their face look like what it's intended to look like as they get older naturally. So why why do you wanna look
Mhm.
older? Now, when I was younger,
No,
the
I
whole thing
think
was
it's a
like, "I
trend.
wanna look older. I wanna be older." But they're literally taking it to the extreme.
Yes. It's like I don't know, it's like regretting a tattoo when you're 40.
No
You know,
regrets.
at least you can maybe no regrets. You can kinda cover up the tattoo, you know, it's like, "Yeah, I got that tattoo in my butt cheek, kinda regret that."
Yeah.
But it's your face. Like,
Your
you
face.
can't go back after that,
Your
like, not
face.
truly. And
No.
we've forgotten the concept. I like the idea of looking I think that everyone should do their best to age gracefully and to embrace your youth. And by embrace your youth, I mean be reframe how you see yourself. So if I think to myself my cheeks are too fat because when I smile I've got like big fat little cheeks. But having that is youthful. And, like, I think about, I know Priyanka, Chopra has had a nose job, I think she's admitted to it, but you can tell she really hasn't touched her face, and she just has a very plump, like, beautiful face,
Yeah.
and I think she's in her 40s, and she looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like she's embraced that part, and then you have a bunch of people that I think that are eventually gonna wish that they had. I think it's gonna reverse, and they're gonna want to have that volume in their face and gonna think that that's beautiful, but by that point, it's too late. It's like, just embrace where you are with your you know, with your face, and also too, you know, you can play with makeup. Makeup helps. Like, if you wanna look a little bit more chiseled, you know, contour
And
is fine.
in that picture of Aaron, the makeup is just enhancing in a
Yeah,
negative way the things that she has had done. And I think
right.
it's making it look more exaggerated to the extent of where everyone would just assume that she's had all kinds of work done to her face other than just her nose, allegedly.
Yeah, yeah, she looks like she's about 40 with
Mhm.
the plastic surgery.
Yeah.
I can't tell if she's had lip filler or not, I'm not sure, it looks like there might be a little bit, at least in the upper lip,
So
but
there
there's no way to
it does look like she may have had just a little bit. Her lips were pretty full to begin with, and in the picture on
yes.
the left, she's got, like, a little smirk, and then the one on the right, she's pouting. Um,
Mhm.
Now there is such a thing called a lip flip where they inject just a teensy amounts of units of Botox on around your upper lip, and it just kinda turns the lip up. Now she could have had that done,
Oh.
um, but it does kinda I'm just looking at the pillows of her bottom lip. They look like
Mhm.
she's probably had some in there too. I used to
Yeah.
work at a med spa, that's why I know these things.
I know, like, you seem very knowledgeable about this. Truth be told, I've one of my pastimes, I love watching plastic surgery videos about with celebrities. I love seeing what they've had done
Yeah.
because it takes the facade away of why they look the way they do or what is aging naturally and what's actually not aging
Yeah.
naturally. Because some of the plastic surgery is so subtle. It's really good.
Exactly, and like I said, there are good ways to do it. There are some doctors that will do it if you ask them to, if you find the right one. Like, I want it to look as natural as possible. This is something that's bothered me my whole life, and
Mhm.
I just want to feel better about myself.
Mhm.
You could argue
And I
like, "No, God created you that way." Yes, you should just embrace it and love it. But there are just some insecurities that people just literally just cannot live with.
yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty anti plastic surgery
Mhm.
as a whole
Yeah.
for sure. I think there's one thing Candace Owens says I actually might agree with her on in regards to plastic surgery. The one thing I don't hate Candace Owens. I think she's got some good points for sure.
Mhm.
I think one thing she said about like, if you got like a giant hook nose, she's like, if you want to get that done, that could help your appearance. I'm like, I could actually see that. I could see an argument being made for a nose, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I've just seen so many bad nose jobs where it just doesn't look right. But I have seen some nose jobs where I thought it looked nice. It looked good.
I'll have to
Um,
send you this doctor I found on Instagram that fixes noses,
ooh.
and you'll be like, "Yeah, uh-huh." Well, just to kind of
Yeah.
conclude, I made a point. I reshared this post, and I thought, I think there's a good way. There's a suggestion to help combat women feeling the need to do this to their face, especially young women, especially someone her age at 29. And I think it is because younger girls, especially right now with social media in this day and age, they have an unfortunate stigma on their hands of feeling competition, of feeling like they have to look a certain way, be a certain way, dress a certain way in order to get attention from men. And it's so sad. So instead of what we call simping over, a girl's very glamorous done up post, why not overtly compliment her on her natural beauty? Like say, I would rather see these types of posts. You should post more like this. You're so stunning. Instead
Yeah.
of, oh girl, so hot.
Yeah. Which is
Like,
always ew. It's kind
yeah.
of gross.
Like
I don't like it.
and all men are guilty of this. Like, let's try harder to bring out the natural beauty of women and as in young girls and compliment them on the things that make them naturally pretty instead of, you know, they're always comparing themselves to the accounts that get the most likes. Well, why are they getting the most likes? Because they look like this.
Mhm.
So let's
Yeah.
draw the attention away from those accounts and put more attention into the ones that have natural beauty.
Right.
Just a
And
suggestion.
I'd also say too, I think kind of add to that, I think to balance your social media time. Because if you think
Mhm.
about it, if you're constantly looking at women that are either, face tuned or they've had all this work done, they're airbrushed,
Yeah.
that starts to become your whole perception of women. Because if you think about it, like if you're walking in the mall, right? What are most people doing?
Looking
They're
down at
looking
their
at
phones.
their phone and that becomes their world. And so they don't see the normal looking people around them as like, hey, that's a really beautiful woman, but guess what? Oh, I can see cellulite because she's a woman and
Yeah.
she's gonna have cellulite. It doesn't sometimes no matter how fit you are,
Yep.
you're gonna have it. Or like, hey, like she kind of has a double chin because I'm looking at her from the side. It's because she doesn't have a strong chin. Like that's normal.
Yes.
Uh, so you have to, as parents need to they really need to limit their child's time on social media. I dare say get rid of it altogether. Maybe that can be another discussion for us for another episode.
Yeah.
Um, get rid of it for them. Get rid of it and limit it for yourself too, because
Mhm.
whatever you think about yourself, you're probably going to put that on your child or put that on the other women around you.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed
We
it.
together. Yay. This was a lot of fun. Happy to have you. If you haven't checked her out yet, you need to check out some of her content. I honestly find it to be very original because it is talking about things from the past that I've never seen before. So you definitely need to go check it out. You got to check it out.
Thank
And
you.
I'll make sure we tag her in this video so you can go follow her. Let us know by emailing us, or by emailing us, I mean emailing residentskeptics@gmail.com, or sending us a DM about maybe some topics you'd like to see us cover that are just for the girls.
Yes.
Anything you'd like to add, Megan, before we sign off?
No. I am starting the show on January 22nd. So you'll see full
Yay!
episodes Mondays and Wednesdays on my YouTube, which is at MeggieMove32, and the show's called On the Subject.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch the full show.
Thank you.
because I've enjoyed the little clips. But yeah, make sure you follow Meghan. Make sure that if you aren't subscribed to us, why aren't you subscribed yet? Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify. I guess you can't subscribe on Instagram, but you can follow us on Instagram.
Sure can.
And Meghan, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.